Good evening and a very warm welcome to you all wherever you may be. It is an unusual time slot and not a time slot, but an unusual day to be coming out with the Oz Cro Soccer Show. But here we are on this fine Tuesday, 11th of July. My name is Taunchi Prulsats and I'm one half of your co-hosts for tonight. The other half joining me from Sydney, the harbour city, Ante Grabovac. Good evening, Ante. It's Tuesday night, not our customary Wednesday night. There's a damn good reason for it. What is it, mate? What is it? First of all,
thank you so much, Taunchi. Of course, there's lots of sport happening up here tomorrow night with the State of Origin, which is absolutely massive. And I don't know if you Victorians or the rest of Australia understand, just like New South Wales and Queensland do, but obviously it is the biggest sporting night. It's the third game. Thankfully, it's going to be all over, and Queensland are going to take it away already. And obviously, tomorrow night, the Melbourne Knights are playing the Doherty Cup match.
Yeah.
And that other Doherty Cup semi-final is actually on right at this second. And it was 1-0 to Heidelberg over Goulburn, and it's still 1-0 to Heidelberg. And Heidelberg have got a red card now. That could be interesting indeed. So hopefully the Knights can win tomorrow night and then, see who they play in the final.
Yeah. On the weekend, well, we had a much better weekend as far as Croatian clubs winning. We're going to talk all about that a little bit later on in Ante's Australian-Croatian roundup. Geez, the Croatian League is kicking off. It just seems like yesterday the season was finished up, and this weekend is the official kickoff, if you like, of the Hrvatska Nogometna Liga, the HNL, with the Super Cup, and the eternal rivals Hajduk and Dinamo clash at the Maksimir Stadium. And then in 7 days' time, they meet at the very same venue for round one of the new season. Mate, I tell you what, I've been following it for the last few hours, just watching the transfer speculation, the transfers happening. You just can't keep up with it. It's just nuts what's going on at the moment in Croatia.
Yeah. It's amazing how early and earlier the seasons are starting. It's pretty much 52 weeks a year this time. And, now we're getting used to that, and the players must be getting accustomed to that. It's the middle of summer. And, Ultra was just on last weekend. And, here we go. The football's beginning again. And obviously the big question is, will Ivan Perisic end up at Hajduk? That's been the talk everywhere. Or will he end up in Perth?
Yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned, and that will be covered in the Croatian roundup with yours truly. But we've also got a huge guest on tonight, Ante. He's the vice president of St Albans Dinamo, and he's a man who's been really responsible for a lot of behind-the-scenes things at Dinamo down at St Albans. Namely, he was the one that enticed our good friend Andy Pascalides down to the club last Friday night for a heartbeat of football activation. A lot of the blokes, a lot of the ladies got their blood pressures, blood sugars, cholesterol levels checked, etc., etc. And actually, John BILOS, he's the vice president. He'll be joining us a bit later on. He actually organised that after seeing our show and Andy Pascalides appearing on our show earlier this year. Also, Dinamo are involved, are one of the few clubs that are involved in being the flag bearers for the Women's World Cup down in Melbourne as well. So that's fantastic. And also, they're one of the few, I think it's probably one of the only Croatian Australian clubs that I'm aware of, and I might be wrong, that have already received a game changer accreditation by Football Australia. What is that all? Well, we'll find out from John BILOS a little bit later on in the show. But lots happening, folks. As per usual, we want you to be heavily involved as well. We want you to give us, your what's the word? Your opinions, your thoughts, your comments in the comments section. So throughout
any rumors that you guys know about that we don't, put them in there.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right. Exactly. What I actually want to know is tell us which Australian kids are in Croatia at the moment, either trialing or have signed for any of the clubs that we aren't aware of. I'd really like to know, because there is a little bit of there's a little bit of information regarding an Australian-Croatian duo at the moment trialing with a major Dalmatian club, and we'll hear all about that in the news desk a bit later on. But Ante, we're going to take a very, very short break. But before we do that, we've got to sort of start the show a little bit on a somber note, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Very sad news during the week of the passing of Attila Abonyi, who was better known as Ati Abonyi. And boy, did this guy leave his mark on Sydney, Croatia. For all of the fans who were around between that 77 and 79 period, they will fondly remember Ati, and 89 appearances for Sydney, Croatia in that time, and 74 goals, which is just unbelievable. They won the minor premiership in 78 and 79 with him as the captain coach as well. And as a result of what he did at Sydney, Croatia, and how fondly he was regarded there, he was invited to be the first ever coach of Sydney, Croatia in the NSL. And he accepted that challenge, and unfortunately didn't last too long. About halfway through the season, unfortunately, that tenure was completed. But yeah, I mean, held in high regard. You can see that photo, particularly that one in the middle where he's being held up high by the fans. When I used to work in the club, that was pride and center of the office when you walked in. It just shows so much emotion, the pride of the fans, and he just looks like a warrior. He gave, left everything on the field, and very highly regarded, and of course, played 61 times for Australia as well, including being in that 1974 Socceroos squad that, of course, made history in Germany as well. So, very sad news, and he'll be very fondly remembered by all Sydney Croatia fans and all fans that watched him play.
Thank you for that little tribute, Ante. Fantastic tribute too, by the way. We're going to take a very, very short break, folks. And as I said, when we return, it is going to be time for our news desk with the Australian Croatian Roundup with Ante. Don't go away, folks. It's episode 45 of the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
Welcome to Slavicek Studio Architecture. Our approach combines modern design with harmonious solutions tailored to your unique needs. We listen closely to your vision and turn it into a functional, beautiful living environment that truly feels like home. Our designs cater to your needs and evolve with you over time, encouraging deeper connections with family and friends. Specializing in custom residential homes and boutique apartments, we balance luxury and comfort to create a welcoming atmosphere for everyone to enjoy. Discover a world of inviting and captivating design at www.slavicekstudio.com.au. Contact us for a journey from idea to reality. Slavicek Studio Architecture, turning your dreams into reality.
Welcome back. Yes, over to you, Ante. You're the man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tornchy. No, you're the man, let me tell you. All right, round 32 fixtures of the Australia Cup. Everyone's talking about them. So just, if you haven't, put in your diary. We're going to be talking about it. I don't know if you saw the Broadmeadow Magic actual Facebook post this week, Tornchy. But they're actually already promoting this game as the Kebapi versus the Chevapi Cup. Because of course,
I love it. I haven't heard yet that. Look, maybe I've just come out of a rock, but I haven't heard a Macedonian versus Croatian game promoted as the Kebapi versus Chevapi. I like it.
I love it as well. So well done to Broadmeadows. So yeah, and already there's excitement. There's talk for a lot of Sydney United fans to make the trip up to Broadmeadow, which of course is in that Newcastle region. So that's Friday, 4th of August, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. And that's going to be awesome. On that very same night, Canberra, Croatia are away to Mount Druitt Town Rangers, which is in Popadetta Park, which is in the west of Sydney. And then we've got the other two Croatian clubs playing at home, and they are Gold Coast Knights on Wednesday, the 9th of August, playing against Devonport City Strikers from Tasmania. And, of course, we have got Melbourne Knights on Thursday, the 10th of August, 7:30 p.m. kickoff. And they are playing Lions FC up from Queensland. So, if you haven't got 10 Play, make sure you get your logins for 10 Play because, you can watch all of these fixtures wherever you are around Australia.
And on that Friday night, you'll be able to have them on 2 separate screens at the same time, which is what I usually do on a Friday night, watching all these NPL games. But
only two.
Yeah, two. Yeah, but Ante, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go out on a limb and say that week will more than likely come out on the Tuesday night as well, because obviously the Wednesday night will be the Gold Coast nights, the Thursday night will be the Melbourne night. So a big week of Australia Cup action. But let's now move to the latest news, and we'll start off with what's happening over in the nation's capital.
That's right. Canberra, look at that. Canberra, Croatia with a big 7-1 win over Tuggeranong United. But the story of the week is O'Connor Knights with a big 1-0 win over Canberra Olympic. And, of course, they are sitting equal first on goal difference in that Canberra competition, which is amazing because they just got promoted this year. And here they are sitting on top.
How good is that?
Very well done to them. And look how important this match is on Saturday. It is second versus first. So O'Connor Knights are away to the Tigers, who are coming second at AIS Grass. Everyone in Canberra get on down and support the O'Connor Knights in a very big fixture there. And then also on Saturday at the very same time, Canberra, Croatia are away to Canberra Olympic. So versus the Greeks up there in Canberra. So hopefully they'll both get the victories on the weekend, just like they did last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Big weekend of football up there in ACT. And another big win over in the West.
Absolutely. Massive win. 5-1 against the arch rivals, Dianella White Eagles. So very well done, Western Knights. Huge victory there. Guelph last week had a 3-3 draw. This week they lost 5-3. So lots of goals happening, but unfortunately too many goals being conceded. So Guelph getting a loss there on the weekend. But Western Knights are sitting second, just 1 point behind first place, and there's only 7 rounds remaining. So let's hope that the Western Knights can catch Mandurah. And this weekend, the Western Knights are at home at Nash Field against Gosnell City, against the 10th place. So let's hope that they can get the victory and maintain the rage there. Meanwhile, Guelph, they are away to Fremantle City at Hilton Reserve, and let's hope that Guelph can continue getting those victories. But yeah, it's a 2-horse race for that first place there, with just 1 point separating the top two, and then basically 8 points behind Joondalup. So, and that's going to be important to get propelled over to the NPL in WA, which, of course, when we spoke to the Knights earlier in the year, that's definitely something that they want to do. So fingers crossed for the Western Knights in the coming weeks. In NPL Queensland, round 16 of 22 rounds, Gold Coast Knights were 3-0 winners. Well done to the Gold Coast Knights, sitting first, 3 points ahead of Gold Coast United. And they've got 2 matches, one tomorrow night against Redlands, and then one on Sunday against Brisbane City. Both of those are technically home matches, even though tomorrow is at AJ Kelly Park, as according to the information we received. And then on Sunday, it is at the Gold Coast Croatian Sports Centre. So check your socials for the latest information, but hopefully Gold Coast can get those 2 victories, and then they should get a comfortable sort of lead ahead of the second place Gold Coast United. So fingers crossed there for Gold Coast.
They've got that game in hand. So, yeah, a win over the next 2 games will see them at least move away to a 6-point gap, and certainly a much superior goal difference as well. So well done, Gold Coast. Dandenong City, they're within striking range of the top spot there in NPL2 Victoria competition.
Look at Preston Lions, who are sitting first. They've had 5 draws in a row. So that's been unbelievable. So that's put a pause to their particular run. But however, they are still 2 points behind Kingston City, who are first. But yeah, like as you say, each week, competition where anything can happen. Eastern Lions, they've got 2 matches in hand and they're on 30 points. They go up to second place.
We call this the chaos competition, auntie. This league is just nuts. Chaos. Like what happened on the weekend just gone by, I think it was Pascoe Vale defeated Kingston City. Like it was the bottom side defeated the top side. It's just insane. It's just absolutely one of the hardest leagues to get out of. And Dandenong City are starting to hit form at the right time in their last, 5 games, 3 wins, a draw and a loss. But they're now within striking distance of Kingston City. And look, the next few weeks, I think there's 5 games remaining. This is going to be a tough competition that is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. From top to bottom, there are only 14 points after 21 rounds separating top to bottom, which is just incredible. And, of course, Ante Mordic, the coach of Pascoval, is trying to get them to avoid relegation. So that's good that he ended up ending their 4-game losing streak. But well done, Dandy, and keep the rage. Come on, let's go. And this Friday night, they're at home to the 11th placed Moreland Zebras at Frank Holohan Reserve. Over in Tassie, Glenorchy had a massive 4-2 victory over the Clarence Zebras, and so they're sitting in second position now. And it's a big clash for them as well this weekend, where it's first versus second on Saturday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. kickoff versus Devonport at Valley Road Ground. So all of those fans in Tassie, get on down there to support Glenorchy. In the ZF League, first grade, Newcastle, Croatia had the big 5-1 win against Merriweather. They play Mayfield this weekend at Stevenson Park. And get on out there if you are in the Newcastle area and support the Newcastle lads. In NPL Victoria, Taunchy, you were there. Melbourne watched Geelong. Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm telling you now, Melbourneites are a very, very well-oiled, well-drilled, well-disciplined team. Ben Kahn, their coach, has got them playing a very, very strategic brand of football. Let's call it that. And look, it was a 3-0 win there. North Geelong, they had their half chances, you could say, and they were very unlucky not to have scored. There were a couple of times that the ball looked like it was going to trickle over the goal, and it didn't. On that performance alone, you'd think that North Geelong might have enough, enough ammunition to be able to survive, but they need to start scoring goals if they're going to do that. There's 5 games left. They've got some very important games coming up, including the sister derby against Dinamo, St Albans, who are really struggling at the moment. And sadly, St Albans are involved heavily, let's put it that way, in the fight for survival. But getting back to the Knights, look, they were just brilliant. They were really good. Their back line, the Franjic brothers, and mind you, they're missing Corey Sewell as well, who's a real focal player at the back. Josh Phelps was brilliant. Anthony Juzel started off in a centre-back, or sort of a CDM role, centre defensive midfield role. He was very, very impressive, I thought. Young Luka Korlic was outstanding as well. Look, it was a really polished performance by the Knights, and they've had some very poor results in recent weeks, 2 losses and a draw. So this was what they needed. And look, they've got a very important period coming up with the Australia Cup. But they sort of solidified 4th spot. Looked really good. Dinamo, they're struggling. They lost to Port Melbourne on Friday night. We'll find out more about what is going on at Dinamo when we speak to our special guest, John BILOS, who's the Vice President. Very good turnout last Friday night, but there was also the heartbeat of football activation, as well as, your normal Friday night attracts a very, very good crowd down there at St Albans Dinamo. But yeah, 2-0 loss for Dinamo and a 3-0 win for Melbourne Knights, or a loss for North Geelong, however you look at it. And this week, Ante, the fixtures for this weekend's game, 3 crucial games for the Croatian clubs.
Oh, absolutely massive. Yeah. Sunday afternoon at Knight Stadium. I love the old Sunday afternoon matches.
Yeah,
and they are playing against the 13th place Moreland City. So they could actually help St Albans and North Geelong if they give them a bit of a heavy defeat there. St Albans are at home on Sunday as well against Altona Magic. And obviously we'll hear a lot more about that a bit later on in the show. And then North Geelong are away to Dandenong Thunder. So, crucial matches. Obviously, only 3 points separate North Geelong and St Albans, those bottom 4, 11th and 14th spots. So, all to play for. It's going to be a scrap to avoid relegation in NPL Victoria.
That it will. Now, on to Sydney United. And guess what, Hvala ti Bože. Finally.
Finally. Yes.
Tell us about Sydney United's win over Sutherland Sharks, Auntie.
Jeez, well, let me tell you, Sydney United got back on the winners list thanks to the magic of Glenn Trefiro, who pulled out another spectacular free kick and got us the lead. Unfortunately, Chris Payne had a penalty saved as well. Chris should have a lot more goals than he has had this year. And then, unfortunately, 82nd minute, Sutherland actually equalised. So it was going to be another, oh no, here we go again. We stuffed this one up. But luckily, in the 90th minute, a player who's come up from the under-20s and had quite a few minutes now off the bench, and one of my favourite names in the whole of Australia football, out of any footballer, and his name is Alessandro Lacalandra. It's just one of those names that rolls off the tongue, and he scored the winner. So his first ever goal in obviously first grade. So congratulations to him. And yes, Sydney United got away with a crucial 2-1 win to separate themselves from Sutherland and sit in that 9th spot. And they play a huge one. It's always a massive game between Sydney United and Rockdale. No away fans allowed. It's at home. So get on down there 3 p.m. to support the boys, and hopefully they can get 2 wins on the trot.
Yeah, good. Big game coming up. Now, South Australia, the Raiders.
The Raiders.
Oh, fantastic news here, folks.
Huge victory. That's right. After coming off a loss, they got the victory. And again, it's very tight up the top in this particular league, especially when you look at Adelaide Cobras have got a match in hand as well, as do WT Burkala. So the Raiders at the moment are hanging on to that first spot. And this weekend, they are away to Eastern United on Saturday afternoon at Athelston Recreation Reserve. So let's hope that they can get another victory and stay on top. There are only 3 rounds left there. So that's how close it is up there.
Yeah, it can be a second-last team. You'd think that it might be an easy game on paper, but do not underestimate the opponents. Now over to South Coast United, and the winning streak keeps happening, and it engulfed the boys in the Illawarra.
That's right. And look at Evil from South Coast has put a message up on our page, so saying Gale Force wins in Wollongong last weekend. Terrible conditions, but the boys got a big victory, 2-1 over Tarrawanna Blueies. So very well done. And round 17 of 22 over there. And so, as you can see with the table as well, they, should avoid relegation. It was only the 4th win of the season for South Coast. So unless the bottom team there, who's only on 2 points, starts on a winning track, I think South Coast are safe. But they are actually playing the 10th place Coniston at home this Saturday afternoon. So get on down there if you are in the Wollongong and Illawarra region, because you'll enjoy some great football. And up in
Brisbane keep on doing well. They drew this weekend, their first draw of the season, but nonetheless, they're still sitting pretty on top of the competition standings.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. They started the season on fire. What's going on? Maybe the players are going to Croatia like everyone else has. I don't know. But yeah, there we go. A loss on a draw in recent weeks, which is uncharacteristic of Brisbane. But yeah, they're sitting pretty in first position, 7 points ahead of second. And this weekend, they are away to Ripley Valley.
And last but not least, the team that we featured last week, Zagreb Hurstville, aren't you?
Yes. Thank you so much to Zagreb Hurstville and everyone that came on last week and told us the Zagreb story. They had a bye on the weekend, which pushed them down to 10th position. So let's hope that they can get the win away to Gladesville Ride Magic this Saturday night. So go Zagreb. Now, the winners list, Taunchy, the last 2 weeks since we started the winners list, we only had 5 teams.
Yeah.
This week, we've got 11. Well done to the teams. That's fantastic stuff. So, as you can see, everyone up there, O'Connor's going to be hard to beat because they're on a 6-game winning streak, which is absolutely incredible. Well done. Western Knights are on a 3-game winning streak. And as you can see, Gold Coast, Dandenong, Glenorchy, and Newcastle are on a 2-game winning streak. And the others have popped up for the very first time. So let's hope that, we can have more teams up there. We want St. Albans up there. We want North Geelong up there. Come on. We want Brisbane Knights up there.
Last week, I think there was, 5 teams, yeah? We said we won double. Well, we got more than that. We actually got 11. So well, we can't have double. We can't have 22 teams because I don't think there's enough. There's 22 teams, but let's keep it at least in double.
We'll have to start counting Whyalla and all those sorts of stuff. We have to start looking at their leagues.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Now we're going to take a very short break. And when we do return, it is then time for the Croatian News Roundup. It's hotting up in Croatia. And I'm not just talking about the weather. It's getting closer and closer to the kickoff of the new season. Stay tuned for that, folks. And we'll have a special preview of the HNL Super Cup that's going to be played in the wee hours of Sunday morning when Hajduk take on Dinamo to officially open the season 2023-2024. It's the Oz Cro Soccer Show, Season 2, Episode 15. Can't believe Episode 15 already. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show, Ante. It's time now for the Croatian Roundup, and it kicks off with the Eternal Derby. They are the rivals, the big rivals, and it's what more could you want to kickstart the season than this huge clash? Well, it's going to be huge, but it's going to be minus one of the biggest actors of the Croatian League, Marko Livaja, who is suspended, but nonetheless. It'll be interesting to see what sort of a lineup that the two respective coaches, Igor Bišćan for Dinamo Zagreb and Hajduk Split's Ivan Leko, put out on the park. Dinamo Zagreb have been really conspicuous by the fact that they've been very absent in the transfer market thus far. They've picked up one player who's kind of from the French second division. And this is a likely lineup against Hajduk Split that, according to getamaniak.hr, one of the best news portals as far as Croatian football is concerned. And this is what they're predicting. So they're predicting basically Petkovic to start, Ivanušić, Špikić up front, Baturina in that sort of CAM role, Mišić, Bulat, or Sučić in the middle, and then the back four of Ljubicic, Perić, Šutalo, Ristovski with Livakovic there. Now, Ante, this could change, of course, because there is constant talk that Ivanušić or Petkovic or Livakovic or even Šutalo in the last few days will depart Maksimir. As yet, nothing has happened, and there hasn't been too much talk about any new signings, but I guess we'll talk about Hajduk very, very shortly if we have a look at that. I guess, though, the good thing about that is continuity. And Igor Bišćan there has got a lot of continuity. They've got rid of a lot of players that they had on loan because they've got such a massive payroll. So they still come into this game firm favourites. Let's not hide away from that fact. That's without a shadow of a doubt. As far as Hajduk Split is concerned, there's been speculation. There's been all sorts of people on the portals with wonderful graphic design skills. And as you can see, they're putting up pictures of Perisic in a Hajduk Split top and this and that. Will he or won't he? Look, the latest news is he's leaving Hajduk. He's leaving Split today. He was down in Split on holiday and he was training like an absolute crazy man at the age of 34. He is due back to negotiate with Tottenham. And look, the gut feeling that from a lot of experts is that he's going to go there, seek a release, and come to Hajduk. Most people are saying that. But then in the last 24 hours, a lot of people have been saying it's likely he'll probably come during the winter break around Christmas time because then he'll be kind of coming towards the end of his contract. Look, we don't know. Everyone is unanimous though.
Everyone's hoping he's flying to Perth. Everyone in Perth hoping he's flying to Perth because he's due to be there next Tuesday night against West Ham, which would be absolutely massive with Mile Jedinak, of course, as assistant coach to Ange Postecoglou. That's history making if you are in Perth next week.
A big Croatian connection there. Well, we'll find out what happens in the next few days. That's for sure, without a doubt. But there's a lot we don't know, and no one kind of really knows. But look, Hajduk today they are looking at signing potentially three, maybe even four players. Yeah. And it's like the United Nations. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I don't know. But look, there's a 27-year-old Moroccan right back, Fad Moufi. He's going to come as a free agent from Portugal's Portimonense. There's a left back, a defender from France, Ismail Jean Chester Diallo. He's from Ivory Coast, 26-year-old. He comes from the second division in France from Ajaccio. Played 20. I know I haven't pronounced that right. He played 28 games. Now there's a new player. There's a new player that is speculated to come, and he's a 34-year-old attacker from Belgian club Ghent. He's a legend of the Belgian league, but is once again out of contract, said to be coming on a free transfer. His name's Vadis Ojija Ofoe. My God, I can't pronounce these names.
There's not much money for transfers, and trying to grab players from who are available, right?
Yeah, and I don't know about that, and I don't know. And look, Hajduk have got so many good young players. I mean, Sigurd, he's on the right back. Is he now going to be pushed out because of this new guy coming in? You've got Pukstas. You've got one player that's been really impressive in pre-season is Ivan Dolcek, who left Hajduk, went on loan to Šibenik, then came back, then was sold to Šibenik. He's back again, and he's been really, really impressive. And he's a winger, attacking kind of a player. They've got a stopper, Zvonimir Šarlija. So, look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But obviously, Perisic is the big one that at the moment everyone is keen to find out, will he or won't he sign? Now, apart from the Super Cup this week, let's remind our viewers, our listeners, the round one fixtures, which will be happening Saturday week, our time. So 4:00 our time, Saturday, 22nd of July. Dinamo Zagreb taking on Hajduk Split. What a way!
That's a Friday night in Zagreb. Anyone who's overseas, you gotta go to this match. And imagine all the tourists. Imagine all the tourists going in and being able to attend something like this. That'd be fantastic.
Oh, 100%. Now, Sunday, our time, Rijeka taking on Rudeš, the newly promoted Rudeš. Are going to be a tough gig for Robert Prosinecki's men coming up against a team that a lot of people are expecting to do very, very well. We've spoken about this in past episodes of the Oz Cro Soccer Show. They've recruited well, Rijeka. They've got a very good coach there, Sergej Jakirovic, who I believe is being courted by the Bosnia-Herzegovina Football Federation. They want him to be their national coach. Osijek taking on Slaven Belupo in that magnificent new stadium, Opus Arena. Now, the problem for Osijek is they haven't recruited very well. They've recruited a couple of so-so players. A few players have left, and there's lots of speculation their captain, Michael Japer, is going to, in fact, go to Hajduk. He wants to go to Hajduk. He's a Hajdukovac. He openly has said he wants to go to Hajduk. Osijek aren't letting him go just like that. They're wanting to hold on to him. But Slaven Belupo is going to be an interesting one. They've got a new coach, virtually an entire new roster, an entire new change room. So I'm actually tipping Slaven Belupo to be one of the teams that are going to be struggling and fighting for survival this year. I think they're going to be relegation material, along with Varaždin. I think Varaždin have not recruited very well at all. They've lost a lot of players. They just don't have the resources for that. They take on Gorica the following following morning, Monday morning at 2:55 a.m. And it's going to be a battle, in my opinion, between Slaven Belupo and Varaždin, who's going to avoid that relegation spot. And last, but certainly not least, Zagreb. Zagreb's Kranjčević Road Stadium sees one of the co-tenants, Lokomotiva, hosting Istra at 5 a.m. And Istra, in my opinion, they are going to be the what's the word? They are going to be the surprise
Dark
packets.
horses?
The dark horses, yeah. They will be the surprise packets.
I just hope someone or a couple of teams can actually push Dinamo this year. You know, we always want a close competition. We always want, you know, and that'll improve the football all around. So let's hope that there are a few dark horses. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I guess not related to Croatian football, but Igor Stimac, the Indian national team manager. Now, this is the kind of Croatian mentality. Now, love him or hate him, whatever the case may be, but he's enjoyed a little bit of success with the Indian national team, a national team in Asia that is renowned as being an underperformer. But have a read of that, folks. Have a read of some of the quotes that he's saying. He's not happy. They've just won a Southeast Asia tournament, Southeast Asia Cup, but he's not happy. And he says, and I'll quote, "I'm not happy. The boys are carrying the bad habits from ICSL." I think it's the Indian Super League. Decision making in the final third is poor. They look to pass where shooting to score is necessary. Hello. Does that sound familiar, Australia? Does that sound very familiar to us folk here?
Sure
Certain
does.
things need to change and change fast. There must be a clear acceptance of my plan. That has to happen within the coming weeks. We cannot wait till January for that conversation to start. Hiding behind FIFA regulations of releasing players just 5 days before a competition won't work. Those rules are made for the world's best players, and we are nowhere near that level. So the things that Stimac wants changed in Indian football, the ISL needs to be expanded to at least 16 teams. The football season should be 8 months, 2 competitive leagues, and protection for Indian players in key positions. Now, isn't that really, really interesting, huh? It's and this is, we talk about, lots of people talk about, the Croatian mentality. We're a small country of 4 million. My little 11-year-old was in tears the other day. He was watching a YouTube where someone was mocking Croatia, for finishing second in 2018, third in 2022, second at the Euro Nations Cup this year. And I actually said to him, I go, mate, there are countries that will never, ever experience that being runners-up in a World Cup. Yet we've managed to do it, 3 times in the case of 20 years or something like that. So, it's just that we've got this mentality that we'll take on anyone and everything. And look, Stimac is trying to bring that over there. I just think, and someone, my colleague from last year, Josip Žilić, used to say, bez Hrvata nema zlata. And you look at the Australian national teams, the senior soccer is all the way down to the under-17s, and they've been underperforming because where are the Croatians? Where are the young Australian Croatian talent coming up through the ranks? There's a lot of talent. They're just not being given an opportunity. And that's the bottom line. They're just not being given the opportunity. But look, what do you do? That's the I guess the latest news. Now, before we talk about that, there's still a lot to talk about. Just hours ago in Split, that was at 8 a.m. or it was 7:30 a.m. That was the scene out the front of Poljud. Today, the season ticket for the Poljud Stadium have gone on sale. Last year, there was a record, 13,100. That was a record of season's ticket holders. Now, I'm not talking about members. I think Hajduk's got something like 76,000 members. But it'll be interesting to see what happens this coming season. Will that record be beaten? And finally, jumping across the border to Bosnia, or to Bosnia-Herzegovina, however you like. The first round, or first qualifying round of the UEFA Champions League kicks off in the wee hours of tomorrow morning at 3 a.m. to be precise. And Zrinski Mostar, Hrvatski Športski Klub Zrinski Mostar, they're coming up against an Armenian side, Urartu. It's away. It's in Armenia. We're wishing the Zrinski boys all the very, very best. And hopefully they can come back with a win in the first leg and then wrap it up in Mostar to move on to the second qualifying round in a couple of weeks' time.
Fantastic. Good luck, lads. And of course, Taunchi, we're talking off air about the stadiums being pretty much signed off as well by the government, saying that they are of national importance to improve Maksimir and the Poljud. So it looks like, things are afoot to improve those two stadiums, which is way overdue.
Way overdue. Yeah. I'm not too sure exactly what that means, but it's something to do with bureaucracy. And we know in Croatia, the bureaucracy reigns supreme.
Once the government starts funding it, then it's happening.
It's a done deal. It's going to happen, yeah.
What's going to happen to Ultra if they've got a new stadium? They're going to trash. They might as well keep, Poljud for Ultra and then build a whole new stadium somewhere else.
Somewhere else. There was talk about that, yeah. But anyway, that's it for the Croatian roundup. Huge week of football happening overseas. Folks, we're going to take a very short break. When we return, it's time for our special guest for tonight. He's the Vice President of St. Albans Dinamo Soccer Club in Melbourne's western suburbs, and he is going to be joining us very, very shortly. He's none other than John BILOS. Don't go away, folks. John coming up straight after the break. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's our 15th episode this year. Well, it's at the halfway mark almost. We'd love to get to 30 episodes. But, folks, in order to do that, we really need your support. We really need club sponsors to jump on board, whether it's a business or whether it's an episode sponsor, i.e. a club, for us to see out the season. It says down the bottom there to see our 25 episodes. We'd actually love to get to 30 episodes, like we did last year. But we are struggling and we need sponsors and we need your help. So to contact us now via email at ozcrosoccershow@gmail.com or contact me there on 0402 012 716. Support the show that supports your community. And folks, we will next week be taking a mid-season break. I think a well-deserved break, because it has been quite relentless. It's been lots happening. And we hope that we'll be back to see out the season, but it really depends on the clubs out there. It depends on the businesses out there as well. So we really do need your support in a big way. But now it's time for our special guest tonight. It is an absolute pleasure. We know that this man is a regular viewer and tunes in almost every week to our show. So it's an absolute pleasure to have someone who watches the show now finally come on the show as well. And it's a big cheerio to John BILOS, the St. Albans Dinamo Vice President. John, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, boys, and hope you're both doing well.
Very well, mate. Very well. Now, you obviously got the camera on the mirror actually setting, because the Dinamo looks like a D, looks like a B. But yeah, we'll go through that. There is a way to sort that out through the settings, but it's don't worry about that, mate. It's been a big year on and off the field. The seniors are struggling at the moment, unfortunately. Let's start off with that. What's going on with the seniors? Let's take a look at the ladder there. But Dinamo at the moment sort of struggling at the moment. Oh, gosh, look at those graphics. Fourth last position.
We're sitting on 16 points. Obviously there's been a transition, with the coaching staff and a lot of players. So, we've building in that stage, I suppose, and we've lost a couple of players, but we've added a couple of signings. So we lost 5 players during the mid-season, or not the mid-season, but almost end of season transfer window. So we picked up a couple of players, like Hajduk, Dylan McLeod, James Kuponowski, Yanni Panaukos, and Justin Mikolas. So we picked up a few good, strong players. So hopefully next 5 games we're up and running. And it's important 5 games for us.
Yeah. One of those games could be another Croatian derby against a North Geelong, who are really struggling at the moment, and it could come down to that. And ironically, one of the few games that North Geelong has won at North Geelong was against Dinamo, but this game will be at Dinamo. So look, that could be a crucial game. It's unfortunate that two Croatian clubs could be fighting for survival, but that's what it certainly looks like. It may well happen.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I said at the start of the year, how nice would it be, or how good would it be to have the full clubs in the NPL? North Geelong, Dinamo, Knights, and Dandy City. The Greeks can do it. Why can't the Croatians do it? So there's still hope for us. Yeah. So it's
Absolutely.
Still a good like I said, big 5 games coming, and hopefully we're all there together next year.
Tell us, John, where's the good news around the club? How are the juniors going? How's all the other teams going? Is there some good news stories?
Yeah, of course. We've got some. Obviously, we're in the NPL and we're in a couple of different divisions. But our under 14s are first at the moment in Divi 2, which is awesome. We've got under 15s 7th at the moment. 16s are 5th, and we've got 18s in 7th. So we're doing okay. Have we got improvement in us in our club? We certainly do. So, but we've got all the faith in our coaches, in our coaching staff, and hopefully they can build on that next year, which will be fantastic.
There's a graphic there of the junior boys in the NPL on the weekend, just gone by. The 14s defeating Melbourne Knights, sister club 3-1, and then in the 15s also defeating the Knights 1-0. In the under-16s, it was a 2-1 loss to Green Gully, and in the under-18s, a 2-1 loss to Green Gully. But to the left there, we can see the senior women. Round 11 clash. They came up against bottom side Hoppers Crossing. That's in Women's State League 2. And a good result there sees Dinamo with a 6-0 thumping. And there's the ladder after 11 rounds. Dinamo in 4th position. It's the top 2 that get promoted. So, look, they're within striking distance without a doubt. How are the ladies going? We don't seem to hear too much about the women's team at St Albans Dinamo these days, but they were in State League 1. Was it last year? And then unable to field a reserves team. Was that the reason why they dropped down to Division 2?
Yeah, unfortunately, COVID had an effect on the club, and the girls were doing wonderful things. And in State 1, we had a Redsies team going, and it was all going really well. COVID hit, and then we had a few changes, unfortunately. But back on track, we've got again a good coaching staff with Tommy Ponderliak taking the realm with Ilya Rados and Shaka. So the coaching staff is up there with the best. I speak to Tommy, and I'm 50, and he makes me want to put on the soccer boots. Yeah, so he's really a motivator. Yeah. But it's awesome for our girls to have someone with his experience.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Giving back to Dinamo. Yeah, and his local club.
Yeah, Tommy's fantastic. Obviously, such a great sort of career in the NSL and obviously in A-League as well, and made so many grand finals everywhere he went. So success follows him. So that's great for you to have him there. And of course, he's in your Hall of Fame in the clubhouse as well, isn't he?
That's right. Great bloke. He's always at the bar having a drink, wanting to share everyone, always having a good chat. Leads by example, which is fantastic, and is a real credit to have at our club.
Now, speaking of Tommy Ponderliak, if last week's show, last week's Geelong Game of Two Halves show, one of our sister podcasts, we had Andy Pascalidis talking about the heartbeat of football activations coming up in Victoria. Now, if go on to Andy Pascalidis' Facebook page, and he's done this roving report with yourself, John, as well. But he's also been hunting Tommy Ponderliak in the club rooms. It makes for very entertaining viewing as well. He's gone upstairs to where all the old blokes are as well, the VIP stand. Andy Pascalidis was there on Friday night. He's a bit of a joker. He loves to have a bit of a laugh, and he's the life of the party. But he had a very, very serious message to deliver to the Croatian community and to the St Albans faithful. Tell us a bit more about the heartbeat of football activation that was held at Dinamo last Friday.
Yeah, awesome initiative, and thanks to the show, we found out about the heartbeat of football on this show. So I sent a message online, and Andy responded saying, "Yeah, you can contact us on this email address," and basically we went from there. And it was also fitting that North Geelong and the Knights had the Harpeth football there on Sunday. So we had probably 70 tests before probably 2 hours in, and I was one of the people to get tested. And guess what? Yeah, blood pressure. Sugar and cholesterol was fine, but blood pressure's up. So it's great that we had a lot of people tested, but it's also really important that people do something about it after the test. So you know that you've got something wrong, but then there I am on the right there. So it's really important that we go to doctors and see what they can do to help us now. So if we can save one life across the Croatian community with North Geelong and us doing that, it's certainly money and time well worth it.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've seen him grow. I mean, from the initial stages and having the idea and then developing it, and for him to be in the community and be able to come down to Melbourne and do these sorts of things are fantastic. And as you say, I had a bit of a blood pressure thing, just a tiny raise as well, John. So you and me both. It must be working with Taunchy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Andy was trying to get me to have a test, and I actually wanted to. I actually needed to because I think I've got issues as well. But between commentating on Sunday, the Melbourne Knights and North Geelong game, I wasn't able to. I know that sounds like an excuse, but I've had cholesterol issues in the past. But you know what? Between the Dieца and dealing with people in the soccer community, how am I not going to have high blood pressure and cholesterol? But
if they had tested us at halftime or after the game, I'm sure it would have been a better hospital.
Oh, mate, tell me about it. But look, it was a great. And look, one of the things, speaking to Andy, and there's a short interview on the Game of Two Halves podcast, and it was also aired on Sunday night on the Football Out West Show podcast. So you can go over to the YouTube channels. It only goes for about 3 minutes, those interviews. But there was the question that I posed to Andy was, look, we're dealing with a demographic, and our community's like that. Most of the blokes are very proud, are very stubborn, and don't want to sort of stick your fingers and avoid it and it'll go away type of thing. But it is changing a little bit. And I asked Andy, is it changing? And he goes, yeah, look, it is changing because unfortunately we've had a lot of bad issues. Over the last few decades, we've had a lot of the first generation who thought that they were invincible, and let's understand the diet of our community hasn't always been the best. But as you said, underneath all that joking and all of that, it's a serious message, isn't it?
Yeah, we're getting older. 50s plus.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. We need to probably get health checks every year. So let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's great. It's fabulous that you acted on that, John. Just wanted to check, for people outside of the Dinamo sort of club, I mean, tell us a bit about how you got involved with the club. Why did you get involved in the committee? How long you've been around the club, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the 90s. I had a stint in the Resis for 1 year. And then I thought soccer was finished for me, but my daughter started playing soccer. So it's probably been about 10 years. I've been back at the club in a sort of formal manner. Whether a team manager, the last probably 6 years I've been in the committee, from chairman, secretary to vice president for the last couple of years. So it's a hard gig. Do we have enough committee members? Probably not, like every other club. But we do a lot, and we're probably about above our weight in some cases with regards to the numbers that we have. But we have an awesome committee. Yeah, we've got 4 female committee members this year and probably last year as well. So. Where we had 1 previously. So we're building in that aspect as well. But we're doing everything we can off the field really well. We just need to get the on the field part right, and we'll be a even better club.
Now, speaking of off-field, some of the things that are really, really moving in a positive direction is let's talk about one of them, Football Australia Game Changer accreditation. Dinamo is one of not many clubs in Victoria, but certainly not many of the Croatian clubs that have got that Game Changer accreditation. And I may stand to be corrected on this one. And if I am wrong, please do say comments section if there are other Croatian clubs that have received this accreditation. But mate, what does, you were heavily involved in this? What does it exactly mean for a club like Dinamo to have that game changer accreditation?
Yeah, it's actually called it's actually changed to Club Changer program, which is we have got a close relationship with Football Victoria, and in particular Josephine Lapila. She's a development program manager at FV, so she got in touch with the club. We had a meeting, and basically was looking at how we could build something with our girls program, our women's program. We had to create an action plan, and there's 7 job points to that plan, which we probably wouldn't do if we didn't have their help. But yeah, our aim is to basically increase the girls' participation at our club, increase leadership opportunities for our senior women, and increase obviously player grassroots from start to finish. There's some ideas that I wouldn't have thought of, and the committee wouldn't have thought of. But it's also about not only the players, but it's about the mums that are involved at the clubs. Yeah. How can we get them more engaged? And there's things that we can do with regards to maybe yoga sessions upstairs in a members section. They can have maybe a walking group. You hear mums playing or training, to keep fit. So there's a lot of things that we can do for our women, our mums that are out there, and this is a way that they can help us do so, basically.
Phenomenal, brilliant.
The growth of women's football is just absolutely magnificent, and obviously it's a key to a lot of the future of Croatian clubs as well. As we've seen, I think we've mentioned a few times now, Sam Kerr used to play over the Western Knights, and the big build-up, I don't know about over in Victoria, but here for the Matildas is absolutely getting massive. And Australia always put on a good football tournament. I'm sure over the next month, even more girls are going to get interested in football after the Women's World Cup as well.
Yeah. John, with regards to that, we just started talking about the Women's World Cup that Ante just mentioned. Dinamo has been selected as one of the few clubs in Victoria to actually be involved in the flag bearing ceremony. Tell us a bit more about that. That's fantastic recognition for an Australian Croatian community club. Well done.
Yeah, that's awesome. Makes me really proud of being involved, and that again was part of that club changer. So we had to apply online. So we got a link from Football Australia. We had to go online and apply to why we think that our girls should represent, Victoria, Football Australia, Football Victoria, Dinamo, our Croatian community. So there was a short survey. You had to, I think it was a 150-word little note that you had to provide on each girl, stating why we think that they should be a flag bearer at the Matildas World Cup. Mm-hmm. And we did so, and luckily enough, we were we got the gig. So the girls will be doing the round of 16 match at Amy Park. I think it's on the 6th or 8th of August, I think it is.
That's awesome. And how many of them have been selected from Dinamo?
So six girls in our under 14.
Let's go through the names. Let's give them a public what's the word in Croatian? You call it hvalospjev, praise. Is that right? Yeah. Let's sing their praises. Who are the young lasses?
One is Caitlin, so my daughter Caitlin BILOS, obviously.
Yeah.
So she's got to be in there. Isabella De Bono. Again, one of our Donna's in our committee. So Donna's daughter Isabel. Mm-hmm. We've got Summer Hanula, who's in our under 14s group.
Fantastic.
Eva Zane, again, they're all in our under 14s group. We've got Mara Smolic, mm-hmm. As well, and Sierra Kvesic, who used to be in Geelong. They had a little bit of a move to Geelong, and they're back in Melbourne. So Stan or Stanko is the under 14s coach, so his daughter as well.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. That is fantastic.
Great. Well done to those girls. That is absolutely fantastic, and
great advertisement for the club. And it's very special to be such a big, huge tournament. And obviously, the girls will never forget it. So that'll be absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, no, speaking to some of the girls, are really excited And I'd be excited to do it myself.
Of course.
It is folks. It is a World Cup, isn't it? It is a World Cup, and
it's
look,
huge.
when
it starts, people will realise how big it is.
Yeah. And the
only thing we're disappointed is Croatia aren't there.
That's exactly right. But John, I don't know about what you think, but to me, I've been a bit disappointed down here in Victoria. It hasn't been the pomp, the ceremony, the all of that hasn't been there, but it is picking up. And look, I think as it gets closer, because Victorian mainstream sports media are very renowned for jumping on the bandwagon. And as soon as the Matildas either bomb out or, have a bad performance, then they'll jump back to their normal AFL and what you're not. But the fact that, and we mentioned this on one of the other podcasts, I think 70% of tickets have already been sold. And if Brenton Ray, he's not Croatian, but he tunes in and watches the Oz Cro Soccer Show. He's not a paid journalist, but he does that much work behind the scenes down in Victoria. Is unbelievable. He had a comment that something like 70% of tickets have already been sold out. All the Matildas games, all the semi-finals and finals games have already been sold out. So with that limited media exposure, that is an incredible achievement. Just
huge.
I don't know about you, Auntie, and the NRL up there, but I tell you, the AFL down here is secretly absolutely crapping itself, and they have been for years.
The first match is sold out. Obviously, if you haven't heard, 82,000 people on a Thursday night are going to come out and watch the Matildas. Obviously, there was an article the other day about on the same night, Rugby League got a match and the Ashes have got a match. And they're estimating 3.5 to 4 million people to be tuning into that Matildas game. So it's absolutely going to be massive and crush everything else. So that's absolutely huge.
Fantastic.
But I wanted to ask John, there's been talk about the second division. Obviously, Melbourne Knights have been involved and a couple of other clubs in NPL Victoria. Do you think that, if that second division actually happens, will that help your club? Will that hinder your club? Or do you know the makeup of the NPL once that happens, or you guys just don't know at this stage?
Oh, look, it could be a great thing. It's like the NSL days, so it could be awesome for the Knights, and they belong there. There's no doubt about it. The only concern for us is financially, and I think there's been some questions raised about that and whether it's going to be sustainable. I'm hearing that you need to have $2 million in the bank or something or other. So it's we as a community, I suppose, my dad used to go to Melbourne Knights or Melbourne Croatia those days, and then he'd be going to watch Dinamo. But the whole family would go. It'll be an outing. Yeah, we wouldn't go to Dalesford and have coffee there. We'd be going to Olympic Park, ground number 2, watching Melbourne Croatia, and then watching Dinamo later on.
Yeah.
So those crowds really need to come back. For this to be sustainable, we need to get those crowds back. And is that going to happen? It's really a tough question. But for us, we'd embrace it. I mean, NPL. Where do you go from NPL into the A League? It's very difficult. I think we saw one player go to Brisbane last year from Oakley. But apart from that, where do our NPL players go? But this could be a stepping block for that. And then the A-League. So it could be exciting, but like I said, it's just that financial aspect that I'm sort of worried about a little bit.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of unanswered questions, that's for sure. John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our show. St Albans Dinamo have been a big supporter of our program, and not just this year, but in previous years as well. So do pass on our regards to the president there, Ilya Dragicic, and the rest of the crew. Wishing you all the very best, and particularly in the battle for NPL survival. As you said, let's get all 4 Croatian clubs. And Ivica Petrlic made a comment, or Brenton Ray actually says, Eastern Lions lost last night 3-0. So there you go. So that's the latest news as well. So Dandenong City certainly looking good to secure one of those 2 promotion spots. Now it's up to the Croatian clubs in the NPL to save their skins, and next year we'll have 4 Croatian clubs in the NPL. How good would that be?
That'll be fantastic. Just a quick one. Just it's Baba BILOS' birthday today, so she probably think. So Sretan Drođendan, Baba. Yeah, we love you.
Good. I don't know how old is Baba BILOS?
Yeah, but we lost 83 today.
Oh, well done.
Oh,
That is
wow.
great stuff.
We've done really well, which is awesome.
Happy birthday.
You've got to go over and eat some collage, John. You got to go over quick.
Maybe a few luckies after this, huh?
Yeah. Why not? Well, and then we wonder why pressure and cholesterol and what you're not. But it's if we're going to go with a smile on our face. Mate, all the very best. And once again, and thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks, gents, and you've done a really fantastic job. So keep up the great work. It's awesome. You guys know I watch us weekly. So keep up the great work. You're doing a great job.
Thanks, mate. All the best.
Really
you've got a bit of a fan club happening there. Jure Andrea, another Jure Dragovic, who has a Wednesday night a radio show down in Melbourne. He says, "Bravo, Johnny." Ivica Petrolic says, "Legend at the club." And Danny Utrisha, who can forget Danny Utrisha? John Bilos, what a legend. So you've got a lot of supporters there tuning in tonight.
They're being too kind.
Good on you, mate. All the very best.
Work.
Thank you.
There you go. And that was John Bilos, the Vice President of St. Albans Dinamo, an all-round good bloke, The legend Joe Lovric says he's a legend. Good job, Anthony.
The more good blokes we have around the Croatian clubs, the better we will be.
Yeah. And that's what makes...
That's it.
Exactly. Sorry, can you say what you're going to say? Because I agree.
No, exactly. That's exactly. It makes it more of a pleasure for people to turn up. It makes all that sort of stuff happen, and it just puts a smile on people's faces, right? And people are willing to volunteer for those people, and all those sorts of things. As you can see that they're working hard and doing the good things from grassroots right up to first grade level. It's just amazing. It was a pleasure to talk to John.
Yeah, now while we're on the subject of St. Albans Dinamo, with the Women's World Cup coming up very, very quickly, very soon, in fact, Thursday week, Matilda's taking on the Republic of Ireland in that sold-out match up in Sydney. Save the date if you're wondering where you are going to watch the Matildas 2023 World Cup opener. We've got you covered. St. Albans Saints, Dinamo Soccer Club, they will be screening it on the big screen there at Churchill Reserve. Why not get yourself down there if you're in that vicinity and watch the Matildas taking on the world's best? And that will be the start of what we hope will have a big flow-on effect for football and football infrastructure in this country. It should be fun, should be exciting. And the only bad part about it, as you said, Ante, Croatia aren't in it. And unfortunately, but here's the thing, Croatia...
Hopefully one day.
We spoke with Ivan Kelov a few weeks ago, who's returned back to Croatia, and he said how women's football in Croatia isn't yet at that level that it could be a world beater. Here's an opportunity for some of our brightest Australian Croatian female footballers to maybe even look and explore going to Croatia and playing over there. I know Geelong's Laura Spiranovic, who now is playing in the Victorian Premier League with Brunswick Juventus, and with under Josip Lončarić, a good friend of the show. She had a stint playing at Ženski Nogometni Klub Split several years ago, and I think that was the year that Split may well have even won the competition. So there have been a couple of attempts of Australian Croatian female footballers going over there, but there's an opportunity. Just saying.
Yeah, James Johnson is going to give you a call tomorrow, apparently, Taunchy, about stealing players. So, make sure. Don't forget tomorrow night, Melbourne Knights are at home. Don't forget tomorrow night, Melbourne Knights are at home to Oakley Cannons. So get on out there and support them in the Doherty Cup. And Heidelberg are up 4-0, so they'll definitely be in the final. So let's hope it's Melbourne Knights versus Heidelberg. And also tomorrow night, Gold Coast Knights are playing Redlands. So, support the Croatian teams.
Lots of football. Folks, we're going to take a little bit of a break for the next 2 weeks. We won't be in action next week. It's a mid-season break. And unfortunately, we may have to end this season of the Oz Cro Soccer Show prematurely unless we can get support from businesses and sponsors and advertisers. And it's over to you. So drop us a line, ozcrosoccershow@gmail.com. That's ozcrosoccershow@gmail.com to get in touch with us, or via our social media platforms, our Facebook page. Drop us a private message, and we'll take it from there. But
If you don't have a fancy ad, don't worry, because Tawanchi will make one for you, because he's our graphic design maestro.
Oh, Yuri, sorry, did I say Wednesday? Thursday nights from 10 p.m. on 88.9 Win FM out of Werribee. Thank you.
I actually listened to Yuri's show the other week, and there were requests coming in from Germany, from Canada, all over the place. It was just amazing. They're on for 3 hours, and do a great job. So very well done, Yuri.
Good on you. All right, folks, take care and enjoy, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time with Oz Cro Soccer Show, episode 46 in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.